What's up, you guys? So a few months ago, I checked in with my folks over on Instagram to gauge their interest in an experiment that compared my family's blood sugar to mine. We know that health can be strongly influenced by genetics, but to what degree do genetics impact glucose control? This is a nuanced question to answer, and quite frankly, I don't think anybody has a complete understanding of this. But I figured I might be able to make a very small contribution to the solution. So I hit up my family to see if they were interested in wearing a continuous glucose monitor for a month, shout out to Levels Health, to see if their body reacts to food the same way mine does. As someone who prides himself on his level of activity, conscious eating, and the progress he's made with his own glucose control, talking about me, I honestly thought this experiment would prove that I'm on a completely different level than they are. Well, that wasn't really the case, and it low-key made me feel like I'm doing all this healthy eating for no reason. Just kidding, kind of. When it was time to put the monitors on them, as things always are with my family, it was pure comedy.
Actually,
Hey, that is a big deal. That's what I said, it's perfect.
yeah, let's see what you
Okay.
Bro, you have your stones on, dude. You just can't just walk on them.
I didn't even feel it, I ain't gonna lie.
You didn't even feel it?
No. Now, I gotta be honest. Because I have intimate knowledge of their habits, I was kind of surprised to see that their glucose levels were mostly normal. I think that the person who's gonna have the most stable blood sugar is Jordan. Lake is gonna have the most unstable blood sugar. And then mom and dad, I think that they'll find that their blood sugar levels are a lot higher than they realized or than they thought. Let's take my dad, for example. He's the type of person to eat healthy for a few weeks at a time.
I'm gonna be in the best shape of my life in 2 months.
That's something that he says pretty often. Not only that, but he also thrives off of about 5 hours of sleep a night, and studies have shown that sleep deprivation can impact the rate at which your body is able to clear glucose from the blood. Now, I can't really knock his habits because he looks good and normally feels good, but he has his phases, just like many of us, where he eats like he lost his damn mind. He started monitoring his glucose before he got back into a healthy eating phase, so I was honestly expecting to see his fasting glucose in the pre-diabetic range. Thankfully, I was wrong. This is an example of what my dad's glucose looked like for a 24-hour period. You can see that his glucose levels remain relatively stable and within the recommended range. This makes sense because he doesn't eat much when he's trying to do better, and wearing a device that gives you instant feedback about your health has a way of encouraging better eating habits. Even when he did eat things that quickly elevated his glucose, his levels returned back to range rather quickly, which is a good indication that his body is still sensitive to insulin. That being said, I'd be happier if his fasting glucose was between 72 and 85 milligrams per deciliter, but we'll get there. I really want to mention all the things my mom learned from her experience, but we'll be here for hours. So that deserves a video all on its own because I think she got the most out of it. Again, that video is linked in the description and you should definitely watch it because she dropped some serious bombs.
I'm my own experiment, I always have been. And that's why I don't recommend anything for anybody based on what I have done. But the only recommendation I can make for women is to know your body, know yourself.
Yeah.
And something like a glucose monitor helps with that.
Now, let's look at my younger brothers real quick. They're fraternal twins, similar body composition, and they have pretty similar eating habits. The foundation of their health is pretty solid, but they're not married, have no kids, and they're enjoying their lives. So oftentimes they'll eat things that are typical of an American in his 20s. You know, wings and fries, chips, juice, candy, alcohol, all that. Because of that, and the fact that they aren't intentional about doing things to improve their health, I was expecting to see slightly elevated fasting glucose levels and erratic glucose throughout the day. Again, I was wrong. As you can see, both of them had relatively stable levels of glucose throughout the day. I did find something interesting though. One of them, Lance, who by the way is a really dope artist and you should listen to his music, I'm gonna link it in the description for you. Well, Lance has a caffeine dependency, drank coffee pretty much every morning, and added this creamer. His glucose routinely spiked above 125 milligrams per deciliter and was not as stable for the rest of the day. He was, and still might be, doing this for breakfast every day. Now, as you can see, this didn't immediately manifest as metabolic dysfunction, but we know that frequent glucose spikes in tandem with other unhealthy lifestyle habits can contribute to inflammation, glycation, and even oxidative stress. So it's pretty cool that he was able to gain insight on how this habit could potentially result in dysfunction if repeated over several years. Okay, let me cover my older two brothers real quick. Both of them live pretty predictable lives like myself, working hard, taking care of their families, and for the most part, taking good care of their bodies. A few interesting things to note: my brother Drew ate a couple packets of oatmeal without protein or fiber, and his glucose shot all the way up to 143 milligrams per deciliter. This is what he had to say about that. Now, for someone who's more insulin resistant, 143 milligrams per deciliter might seem like a dream come true after a bowl of oats. But even for those who meet all the criteria for metabolic health, like my brother Drew, a spike like this could still result in symptoms like temporary brain fog and can even set you up for frequent cravings throughout the day. Oh, frequent cravings, goddamn. Similar to Drew and his experience with oatmeal, Jordan wanted to see what eating Taco Bell did to his glucose levels on an empty stomach. And here was the result. I didn't ask him about his digestion afterwards because eating Taco Bell on an empty stomach for me sent me straight to the toilet. He also displayed a good level of insulin sensitivity because of how quickly his glucose levels were restored to normal range. Again, nothing crazy to see from either of these two. So, as you can see, as far as glucose is concerned, everybody is in pretty good condition despite not being conscious about their postprandial glucose levels for pretty much their entire adult lives. The fact that everyone periodically subscribes to the standard American diet, yet maintains normal glucose levels, may have something to do with the fact that we all grew up living the same lifestyle, eating the same food, playing the same sports, laughing together at the same jokes, and simply enjoying life together in the same ways. Our parents had a pretty good grasp on what a healthy life looks like, and we were blessed to benefit from that. So living under their care for the first 18 years of our lives provided us all a good foundation for our health, which plays a huge role in how our bodies respond to food today. Now listen, that doesn't mean you can't jack up your healthy foundation with a few years of poor eating. You absolutely can. Not only that, but monitoring glucose isn't the end-all be-all of metabolic health. A more comprehensive look would take into consideration fasting insulin, lipid panel, and levels of C-reactive protein. But glucose is a reliable biomarker for giving us insight on where we are on the spectrum of metabolic health, and I'm happy to see that each of my immediate family members are doing okay. My biggest takeaway from this experiment is that my parents did a really good job setting us up with the foundation of health. While genetics definitely play a factor, I think each of us are reaping the benefits of the thoughtful actions that our parents took in our adolescent years. Being outside for the majority of the day, drinking mostly water, playing sports year-round, and eating a diet that consists of mostly real food and doing that for years is paying off in ways that neither of us are able to comprehend. Shoot, my parents also seem to be reaping the benefits of being intentional about how they take care of themselves. Staying on top of their health, getting in the best shape of their life 4 times a year, taking crucial supplements like vitamin D, and most importantly, living a stress-free life, shout out to being married for over 30 years, is giving them both the opportunity to enjoy their time as empty nesters, free of disease, and thriving in every sense of the word. I have so many more insights from this experiment, but couldn't include everything in this video. So feel free to drop a comment in the comments. Feel free to drop a question in the comments if you have one, and I'd be happy to elaborate if I'm able to. Lastly, I want to give a huge shout out to Levels. They're building very important technology that allows people to understand how food is affecting their health, so we can begin to solve the metabolic health crisis that we're experiencing in America and across the globe. I dropped a link in the description of this video in case you're like me and you want to explore your metabolic health with people you love the most. As always, I appreciate you for tuning in and see you around.